hindsight 2020.
Hindsight's 2020. So I think that's a good one too. So hedges we talked about, gold, silver, Bitcoin being the newest hedge, being debt free. I'm going to make a prediction, Aaron, before we end here. So I'm looking at some charts here, as you can see.
Sure.
I'm a big old school energy guy, let's call it, right?
Sure.
Which means I don't ever believe, first of all, I've completely dissected the entire climate agenda. I'm not saying there's no such thing as climate change. The climate has been changing for millions of years. I pay multiple resources every month to study finance and energy and everything we're talking about here today. So I'm not the kind of person that reads something or goes with the narrative. I actually pay and consume multiple paid newsletters, white papers, books, and resources every single month. All of my financial analysts do not believe, and they have empirical data, that the electric game, the wind game, the solar game could sustain the population for any extended period of time. So they're trying to eliminate the oil industry and the gas industry, and they're trying to go all electric. In fact, in America, they're actually trying to mandate electric cars, which is insane. You can't mandate things on people. That's nuts. The fact that they think cars are hurting the climate is the height of insanity. So I'm looking at good old fashioned things like crude oil and gas, natural gas, because what's going to happen is they're going to push so hard, Aaron, like they've done with many things, that you might be able to help the environment a little bit, but you're going to completely cripple societies and dramatically decrease their wealth and their opportunity to get good, clean energy, right? So gas, oil, things like Chevron, Exxon, Conoco, and now they're all leaning towards nuclear. They think what's going to happen is this whole green energy thing, at the end of the day, the math is the math, and the math is atrocious. I mean, it's so bad what they're investing in with all the green energy and the infrastructure bills and all this. They're trying to just go all in on electric, and they're trying to go all in on things like wind and solar to back the electric, but the grid can't handle it, to my point earlier. So we're probably going to come back somewhere in the middle, which is smart, where you have definitely some electric deployment. Cool, right? Electric car, great, right? You want an electric car, get an electric car. And there's definitely going to be a need for oil and gas forever. There's not going to be eliminating fossil fuels. That's insane, okay? But now nuclear is coming up. In nuclear energy, they're now thinking can be that middle ground that bridges the gap between having a healthy balance of electric, wind, solar, oil, gas, and now nuclear coming in as the staple. So these are areas I'm looking at from an investment standpoint. And as a contrarian, I would go against everything that's all green, climate, ideology, sort of like religious cult feeling, because narratives work in the short term, but reality works in the long term. And what I'm seeing is that the big money is going back into good old-fashioned oil, gas, things like nuclear, things that are staples of society for however many hundred years, right? So that's where I'm looking now, as well as future out. Kind of going against the grain a little bit, right? I think a lot of the big institutions want to go green, and they want to go with all of the, of course, there's a lot of subsidies, which is why they do it, right? So good old-fashioned natural gas and oil is getting a lot of institutional attention right now, and it has my attention as well. So prediction would be, don't abandon fossil fuels because they're being demonized. They're being demonized to create way for another industrial complex, which is the electric industrial complex.
I think I'm going to pivot the conversation right now to the business owner side. We've talked about personal finances and so on and so forth, but we got a lot of people who followed us from when we were originally Sales Velocity that are business owners. I'm going to go back to the presentation I was doing last week for these investors. And the question that I asked them very bluntly was, are we all screwed? Right? I mean,
there's that argument also that a lot of people actually are like, forget it, man. We're probably going to end up in World War III here. There's people who are like, whatever.
I mean, you could look at all these factors and just throw up your hands and go, screw it.
Listen, it wouldn't be a crazy argument.
It wouldn't. I personally don't believe we're all screwed. And I said to them, people are still buying, but, underline but, only if credibility and trust is established at a higher level than ever before.
No doubt.
Everybody has to come around to this new reality because we got spoiled. And I'll tell you when we got spoiled. There was the haves and the have-nots during COVID. And for those people that were in the have-not category, gyms, restaurants, those things, I couldn't feel any worse for you. My wife had to shut down a physical business because of it. It
Yeah,
was criminal. It was ridiculous. I get it.
absolutely.
But there was another group of people like myself, digital marketing agency. COVID was a gift.
Yeah,
We
likewise.
just thrived.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because money was being dumped from the sky. People were staying home. They were bored. They were looking to upskill. They were looking to entertain, whatever it was. And they dumped a ton of money into the economy. And so if you were in one of the have groups, making sales was really, really, really easy. And we got spoiled. And now we're paying the price. There's always yin and yang in everything. So now we're paying the price of being spoiled when you dump money into the economy, inflation goes up, interest rates go up, all of those things, right?